Hello, Human Talk University. You have reached Professor Bianco Holman with the Fundamentals of Clinical Supervision. This is a graduate class, but of course, if you want to come in, please come in. It is still time to register. If I'm correct, registration ends this weekend. Please click and like and follow, and also go to the profile and hit the bell and hit follow so that when I post lives or when I post TikTok content that you will get a notification about it. Okay, so one of the first things that I want to do is I want to give you my credentials because I think it's important that you have the credentials, okay? So I graduated from North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride, with a bachelor's of sociology. I later went to school and graduated with a master's of science administration with a concentration in human resource management from Central Michigan University. And then I later went on to graduate from Boston University with a master's of social work. I also spent about a year at Capella University in their counseling program as well. So as far as my career, I've been a social worker for 29 years. It'll be 30 in October. I've been a social worker since October 1996. I did agency social work for 18 years, and I've done clinical social work for about 11 and a half years. I have been a licensed clinical social work supervisor for 6 years, and I've been a business owner for 8 years. We just celebrated 8 years on January 1st. I own a therapy practice, Changing Places Therapeutic Center. I am the lead and sole clinician. I do have staff though. And so we've been doing this for about 8 years, and I'm proud to say that we was able to endure the pandemic as well. So we're really, really proud of that. So to let you know that I've been doing this for a while. Since I've been a supervisor, I've had about 20 provisionals. Out of that time, I've had about 10 to go on to become fully licensed clinicians, with 3 in a matter of days of each other in October. So really proud of that as well. So this is week 1, and like I said, we want to jump into the purpose of clinical supervision. And I'm looking at my notes over here, okay? The purpose of clinical supervision. So the purpose of clinical supervision is to help navigate clinicians, provisional clinicians, through the murky and sometimes arduous process of becoming fully licensed. I am the first one to say the race is not given to the swift, but to the one that endureth. It is meant to be a weeding out process, okay? It is meant to be hard at times. So, as a clinician, as the clinician supervisor, your job, our job, is to help guide them through this, okay? And so I want to stop and say this. So I am a LCSW, licensed clinical social worker in the state of North Carolina. And so what my criteria, or the criteria for a therapist, clinician, a LCSW clinician, to be fully licensed may be different from a LPC, licensed professional counselor, LMFT, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a mental health clinician. They may be different. And also, I'm in the state of North Carolina. So the state might have a different requirement than where my state is. So you can still, please, take the class, but remember your specialty and keep the eyes on what your specialty's criteria is at all time. And another vein of that is, sometimes our provisionals will talk to other provisionals about what they have to do to be fully licensed. And we have to remind them that all clinicians are not the same because they have different degrees, different licenses, and so what an LPC is going through is not what an LCSW is going to be going through, or the criteria. So we have to always remind them to, as we're listening to the message, we also have to pay attention to the messenger. That's very, very important. Okay? And so, as a licensed clinical social work supervisor, I want you to think about your job as being something like driver's ed. Okay? My driver's ed teacher, I went to Pine Forest Senior High School. Shout out Trojan Pride. So, when I was taking driver's ed, I would be under the wheel, but my instructor would be next to me. And when we were doing the driving part, he would be next to me in the passenger side. And if you remember, he had a little brake on his side too. So if I was going too fast, or maybe going in the wrong direction, or whatever, he could still maneuver. Even though I had control of the car, he could still maneuver. He could guide me and say, okay, we need to go this way, we need to go this way, you're going too fast. Or, we need to turn around. That is what I want you to have in your mind as your job as a licensed clinical social work supervisor. You are to help guide. You are to help steer. You are to help navigate. There was a time when there was not supervisors and the clinicians had to navigate these things on their own. And so the state, at least the state of North Carolina, decided that it would be good to have supervisors to help them navigate. And so you'll have good clinicians and you'll have not so good clinicians. Okay? And so you have to decide what you want to be. And so also, I want to talk about, since we're talking about the purpose of a clinical supervision, you need to study your state to see what your requirements are to be a supervisor and your license to be a supervisor. So in the state of North Carolina, for me to be a supervisor, what I had to do is I had to have 2 years of my full license before I could apply for my supervisor license. So after I had 2 years, I sent an application in and I sent in my credentials to show I had been licensed for 2 years fully, and I sent in a fee. And then what they did is they put me on a list on the National North Carolina Social Work Licensure Board. They put me on a list of supervisors in my area. And so, let me say, I guess this is a good time to say I give homework. So I already know that, and I'll tell you, sometimes I don't know what the homework is going to be. We kind of tell each other as we're going through class, or some of the questions that you post to me, or maybe some things that have been going on in the social work world. So, but for the purpose of tonight, I know that the homework for me is going to be to post the syllabus no later than 11:59 p.m. Remember those times in college? Oh my God. No later than 11:59 p.m. so that it'll be available. Lots of times I make it my story so you can see it on my story, okay? And I will also find a way to post it so that you can see it too. I am new to doing TikToks. I am new to doing YouTubes. This is my 5th time trying to upload this video. So I am navigating this too. Not only am I a professor, but I'm also a student. I too am taking some classes at the great Hillman-Tock University. Thank you, Dr. Barlow, for this opportunity. We can't thank you enough. Okay, I also want to let you know that if you're interested, I am teaching an Introduction to Agency Social Work class. That's an undergrad class on Tuesdays. All the things they didn't teach you in school. And on Wednesdays, I do an all things social work tip. Okay, so as far as the School of Social Work at the Hillman-Tock University, for my class, you have 3 days of opportunities. But again, I think that registration ends on the weekend. So, okay, for your homework, this is what I would like for your homework to be. So, if you already are a clinical supervisor in your specialty, I want you to check the board in your state to make sure that you are listed as a clinical supervisor. If you are not a clinical supervisor but desire to be a clinical supervisor, I would like you to still go to your board and see what are the requirements for being a supervisor in your state. Now, the exception is for those who believe that they are a supervisor and go to the board's website and don't see your name. Again, I want you to find out what you need to get your name up there, especially if you've already submitted your paperwork. Find out what you need, okay? And so when we get back together next Thursday, class will be next Thursday. When we get back together next Thursday, I would like for you to report to me what you found out regarding clinical supervision for yourself. Now, let me say this. If you are a social worker who wants to know what supervisors are doing or what the qualifications are or the training, you can please stay in the class. If you are somebody who's interested in social work, please stay in the class. Please go to the Tuesday class. Please click on and look at my Wednesday All Things Social Work snippet. I've wanted to be a social worker since I was 16 years old. Do you know how many years ago that was? A long time. So I've had a love of social work since I was a teenager. And so if you have that love, please join the class. So again, this is week 1, Fundamentals of, and I'm looking at my notes over here, Fundamentals of Clinical Supervision. So today, week 1, day 1, purpose of clinical supervisor. And the overall purpose is to help them navigate. That is the overall purpose, to help them to navigate this road that they have to go through in order to be a supervisor. In order to be a clinician. The road to be a supervisor is not as arduous. It is not as long. It's one of those things that once you're in, the moving around part is easier than the getting in, okay? If you have any questions, please post them to my TikTok page and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you are interested in attending the class, please stay present. I did a little snippet earlier tonight about the class, okay? And so stay present under that snippet and register for the class. If you cannot find my class to register for, please let me know and I'll reach out to admin, okay? Again, thank you so much for attending Fundamentals of Clinical Supervision graduate class. We will have the syllabus out. During the class, we will have homework. We will have things to read. We will have things to watch as well, okay? And again, thank you, Dr. Barlow, for this wonderful, phenomenal opportunity of free education. Together, we can do anything. We have proven that. Together, we can do anything. Thank you again for attending Fundamentals of Clinical Supervision with Professor Bianco Holman. Class is now out. Ding, ding. You have your homework. Hillman Talk University. Go Panthers.